Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in a room. Jeff Bezos from Amazon, and he knows a thing or two about branding. Ask yourself, what would these people say about you, about your brand, when you're not in a room, when your brand is absent from them? Would they talk about it positively, persuasively? Would they be negative about it? How would they represent your brand when you're not around? Hey, welcome to WiseBytesTV. This is Dean. My other half, Josh, is absent today. So today we're going to talk about branding. So let's get started. All right, so let's just revisit the quote. Jeff Bezos said, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in a room. And like we said, he knows a thing or two about branding. We know what Amazon is. We know what their strengths and their weaknesses are. We know that we can feel comfortable because it's such a known quantity, because it's a rock solid brand. So let's start with the fact that for the rest of the world, that's not Coca-Cola or Pepsi or, Amazon, branding is often tossed aside, or it's never fully developed in the first place. So how do you come across that? What do you do? Why is it important? Let's say that you have a brand and it is somewhat fully developed. What happens is you have one employee working on social, somebody's doing something, sales collateral, somebody else is working on a website, and it diverges and it goes all over the place. That's never going to get you the benefits that you're going to achieve from branding, and they're substantial. So we're going to go and talk about 10 must-dos for branding, and it's going to have a direct, immediate impact on how you do your business, and then how much revenue or leads or sales or signups or memberships, whatever it is that your goal is that once you follow these 10 tips, you will make an impactful difference. So let's get started. All right, hey, let's go from Amazon over to Apple for a minute. So in the world of branding, it doesn't get much better than Apple. So right from the start, when it was founded in 1976, Steve Jobs created a simple and clean visual look. Now look at where they are today. People tend to look at iPhones, iPads, as easier and cleaner. And it's like, oh, it's an Apple. You don't have to worry about anything. It's easy. Whereas Microsoft Windows is looked at as a cluster, which it often is, right? I think Apple is too, but they have better branding. So what they did is they developed a brand and they stuck with it, and they stick with it so well that 40 years later, we all are still in bed with that belief of how much Apple is easier. And I use them all, and some are easier, some are not. It's not the king of easy, but it's the king of branding. All right, we're going to do 10 branding tips. We're going to start with number 1, identity. Establish a unique presence in the market. Let's go back to Apple. A bite taken out of the apple. A apple is a sign of freshness, growth, and the bite taken of it out of the Apple logo is unique. They established a unique presence in the market. That's what they did. They put a lot of effort into their identity. And to this day, Apple is so synonymous with success and with ease. Everybody knows who and what Apple is. All right, the second thing is recognition. So their identity is so successful that we recognize them. And so with your product or your brand, you want to make it so your identity makes you recognizable. And that when people see that, they recognize you. And there's more to just a visual. There's feelings, and we're going to get into some of that other related stuff. All right, the third tip is consistency. You want to ensure a unified message and look across all your marketing channels. Do not stray. And that's why you want a brand police. Have somebody say, you know what? You're the brand cop. Everything that goes out, I want you to look at in the context of, does it meet our messaging and does it meet our visual standards? And make sure that it's consistent all the way around. Because what does that do? Well, that's the next item, number 4. It builds trust. Having that consistency builds credibility, and credibility is the foundation for trust. And so you want people to trust your brand. And there's many reasons for that. When you have a new product come out and it's unknown, well, if they trust your brand, they're more likely to get over that hurdle and convert into a customer easier because they trust you. There's another really important element to trust. if you have some kind of crisis or your company does something bad, like remember when United Airlines dragged that doctor off of the plane because he wouldn't change his seat or something like that, and he was bloodied and whatever. Well, people don't trust airlines. They didn't trust United or all airlines. So what happened is that issue became unmanageable for them, and went to Congress. Laws were changed and whatnot. It's because people didn't have trust in it. So anything that they came back and said, "Oh, we're sorry, we did this wrong, we did that wrong," people didn't believe them. However, Starbucks has had a number of incidents where their managers in local locations have made some pretty stupid mistakes. But when Starbucks came out and apologized, it's like, all right, you know what? We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. We got it. We got you. And the reason they did is because they trusted the brand. They trusted everything that built up to that moment, right? There was, of course, Starbucks is recognizable. They're a great story for branding also. But they're so consistent in their products and the delivery when you go from store to store and then their messaging that we trust them. And so that trust really builds upon if you ever have any crisis in the future, or on the other side of the coin, you have something brand new that you want to launch and people don't know anything about it. If they trust you, they're more likely to adopt it. All right, let's go on to number 5, emotional connection. Now, you get emotionally connected to something after these other things fall in place. It's identifiable, it's recognizable, it's consistent, you have trust in them. And that builds an emotional connection. And as Josh and I say often, emotion compels action. And that's what marketing is about, is emotion compels action. So you want to build up to that point where you have an emotional connection, because that's what's going to compel them to buy your product, to visit your location, to sign up to your membership, or what be it. All right, now moving on to number 7, which is something not really associated with branding too much, but it's an absolute one-to-one connection, and that's premium pricing. So all the things that we talked about, the emotional connection, the consistency, the identity, you can price your items, your service, whatever, higher than your competitors if you built that trust. If you built that emotional connection, if you have that consistency where they know what to expect from you, you can demand premium pricing. All right, now number 8, competitive advantage. Having all of the things we talked about gives you a competitive advantage. Let's go back to you launching a new product. If they trust you, if they're emotionally compelled to act because of something you say, and you have 3 competitors and they're all launching some new product, you have a competitive advantage if you brand correctly. So now, right now, we're not talking about what the product, the good or the bad of the product, right? Let's say everybody does their due diligence and they read reviews and read specs. Your product already has a notch above because people are emotionally connected to it, and that's what sells. So focus on that aspect of branding, because that's going to give you the premium pricing and you're going to get the competitive advantage. All right, let's go now to number 9, brand equity. So what's going to happen is your new product is more likely to be purchased than a competitor's product. But what about everything else that you do? Let's say you have a customer service element to your business, and you have a membership element, or you have accessory products that you sell, whatever it could be. It could be a brewery, it could be a software company, whatever it may be. If you want to sell them on different services, plans on customer support or technical support, your brand equity is like money in the bank. If you have that equity, you keep building up that equity bank, you can use it. You can use it to sell other products. You can use it to overcome problems. So you want to build your brand equity by all of the other items that we talked about. All right, hey, we're going to go to number 10 and our last one, talent attraction. I know it's not often connected with these two, but there is, again, a one-to-one connection. You're going to attract better talent, right? Go back to Apple. If there was 2 equal jobs, same pay, let's say they were remote and that's what you wanted, all the benefits were equal, and it was some company or it was Apple, where are you going? You're going to go to Apple. Apple attracts the best talent because people want to be there. And so that's important to your company. And, don't dismiss it like, well, I'm not an Apple. You don't have to be. You're a local coffee shop, or you're a local brewery or you're some other organization that is in your realm, your world is a lot smaller than Apple, well, you can be the one where people want to work, even if you're a restaurant. You can literally be the restaurant where people want to work. Like right now, for the last, 18 months or so in the foreseeable future, those services are so hard to find staff, but you can build your brand where part of your brand is that you're the great place to work. And so you can attract better talent, which what does that do? That helps you with number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to number 10. It helps you with everything about your brand. Okay, so let's leave off with in 1976, Apple had this simple design. This guy, Rob Janoff, created the apple with the bite out of it. And look where it's come, right? Did they know where this was going 40-something years ago? No, they didn't. And so they started with something, they stuck to it, and it built this great thing. So go ahead, be the next Apple. Hey, thanks for joining us, and like and subscribe and share if there's any other topics that we should be going over that you'd like to hear about. Thanks.